Hello everyone. Are you ready for this new feature? So my name is Quentin and I'm a business analyst at Odoo for almost 2 years now. And the topic of this presentation is how to manage service company with this brand new feature of Odoo 11. So as you can see, we will mainly be demonstrating the use cases that I chose for this presentation through the new features, forecasting, and then I will make a quick conclusion. So basically, as you already know, and Fabian told it the first day, we improved a lot of things. In fact, we wanted to make it more flexible and give you more options than before to perform your services even better. Before going straight to the point, I wanted to talk about the why is it important to have a service management tool that is efficient. So as you know, the goals of a service management tools are, of course, to increase the customer satisfaction, analyze the profitability of your project, of your employees, task, whatever, control everything that is done on those projects, the time, by project, by employee. For that, in order to deliver a better and suitable service to your client, and of course, to manage efficiently the support. As you already know, in Odoo, everything is about integration, and here we wanted to go further and integrate it even more, even better than before, by creating new links between all the apps. And here, as you can see, everything is in one tool when you have project, timesheet, help desk, sales, and invoicing. So of course, when you have goals, you need also to have measures. And with Odoo, you can have those thanks to the customer ratings that will measure the customer satisfaction. The forecast that will help the people planning and forecast your needs. And this brand new project overview that will help to analyze the profitability of your employees' project, but also thanks to the timesheets. Okay, let's go straight to our demonstration. Okay, here. So what you need to understand is that everything now, the contract is basically your sales order, and your work has to be done through the tasks to the project. So let's start by the product configuration, okay, as it is the first step to be able to manage correctly a service. So let's take, for example, a junior consultancy service. Of course, you need to put service, otherwise it won't work. Let's put a sales price 120. And now let's see what the options are here for the product. So we still have the two options, the invoicing policy, of course, ordered quantities. Timesheet on tasks is basically the delivered quantities you had before. And the brand new option, the milestones, that I will explain further. Here, both options are now completely splitted. That means that you can choose any options here, but also any options here. You don't have a limited choice per option. Let's take for our junior consultancy the simple workflow, timesheet on tasks, and I will create a task in a new project, let's say. Okay, let's quickly duplicate it to make a senior consultancy service also. Like this, it keeps the same options. And let's start by doing our first sale order. For our company, for our client ABC, let's choose the junior consultancy, I will take 10 hours. And the senior consultancy also 10 hours. Let's confirm this. And you see you still have the two tasks that are linked here thanks to a smart button, but you also have now the project overview here. Let's go directly to it. Even before we timesheet something, you have here, just to show you the tables. On the left, you have everything you've done, the hours, based on the type of hours. Basically, time and material is for everything that needs to be timesheeted. Fixed if there is a prepaid service. And both other options, no task found and non-billable, I will show you in a second. Yeah, let's go on my tasks. And let's say I will timesheet here 4 hours. On the senior consultancy. Save. I go to my project, and you see here, you have this little button to access directly the overview. By clicking on it, you see that my 4 hours I timesheeted on the senior consultancy is here in time and material. So the 4 hours are here, and you have 100% rate, of course, because I only timesheeted on that one. You see that the profitability also calculates itself. You have something to invoice. Okay, I did 4 hours. I have to invoice those. And you see that the cost is also computed. How is it computed? Basically, by going on your employees, you can set a timesheet cost per hour. Here, as I timesheeted with my account, it makes sense to have 90 euros per hour. I did 4, so 360 if I'm correct. Okay. Let's quickly timesheet a second timesheet on the junior consultancy with the other employee. Let's put 4 hours as well. And go back to my overview. You see still here time and material, and I have now this to invoice. And you can here analyze really the time by employee, so by the people, by clicking either here to have the details. When I click on it, I have all the timesheets done. Or if I have more data, I can click here also on billable time, and then I get this pivot view to show me the details. Okay, let's quickly invoice this. And I validate the 4 hours. And going back to my overview, you see the invoiced quantity is now here. Imagine your employee timesheets on with this app directly. Like this, so it was the 31. Timesheets 1 hour. Save. And if forgot to put in a task, what will happen here? In this overview, you will directly see that you have something to correct because you have 1 hour and no task found. Okay, so you can analyze, okay, who did that? Is it me or my junior consultant? Apparently it's him. I can click here on the timesheet and directly correct it by linking it to the right service to be able to invoice that correctly. do so, you have to go back on your project overview, and you see you don't have any hour in this type of no task found. You have everything in time and material now. Imagine now that for your implementation, for your services, you say to your client that you offer them a free documentation because you need to do documentation. What you will do, you will create a new task in the same project, documentation. And there, let's timesheet also 1 hour. And let's see how it looks like in the overview. So you see here, I timesheeted 1 hour, but it's said to be non-billable because nothing is linked to the service that I provide. So it's free for the client, but it still appears in the cost because you need to know, of course, if you're working for free or on other tasks. Okay. Something more about this overview is that you can retrieve everything that is linked to it here in the smart buttons. But even better, you can use filters here. Imagine you have a project with multiple tasks, and there are some tasks linked to one client, others to another one. You will be able to filter on a specific customer, for example. Here I select partner and then contains the name of the partner. But even more important, you can also have this cross-project. If I remove the filter, you see I have a lot of information here that appears because I have all the projects together. I can see the profitability of all of those. I can filter on some projects, some tasks, some employees as well to have this overview exactly on what I wanted to see. Okay? So that was it for the first use case. So just to summarize quickly, you change the product configuration to timesheets on tasks, and you, in this case, create a task in a new project. Timesheet and invoice timesheet, of course you know that. And you have this profitability calculation. Let's now imagine you're selling prepaid packs of hours. Then what you have to do, of course, creating a new project, let's say support hours. Let's value them at 150. And in the invoicing tab, you will put ordered quantities, of course, because they have to pay before. And let's take the same just to have a different project. So I create a task in a new project. Let's quickly make our sale order. With our support hours. Of course, you can also, it's the same than before, you can invoice per day and timesheet per hour. That's remaining the same. I confirm the sale. I got my task and my project overview again. Let's see what happens if I timesheet on that task. I can go on my project overview from here. And you see, it went into the fixed type of hours because I sold the prepaid hours and I forgot to invoice it, so it's still into invoice. Okay. Basically, for this service, what's important is it's a good example actually to have the support prepaid hours. As you may have noticed, you don't have issues anymore on project. That's why we use now the help desk. In the configuration, you can go and tick this box, timesheet on tickets, and this will directly link your ticket to the right project, to the right task, to be able to invoice if it's on delivered quantities, for example. So let's make a ticket for my client. And I can link it directly to the sale order here to the correct task. Okay, here I have only one, that's why it's appearing directly. And let's timesheet on that one. Okay, going back to my project, I will be able to see it in my overview directly in the fixed hours. Okay, so for the use case 2, same thing, product configuration first. We put ordered quantities instead of delivered, and you have this analysis with the fixed hours now. Let's come back to our product configuration, and this time we will do the new option that is called Milestones. So let's call it that way. And select this option. Basically, to give you a more concrete example of milestone is, imagine you are implementing an ERP with 5 apps, okay? And you want to invoice stages for your client after each app, okay? That's basically the workflow, how it will be. So imagine each time you put an app in production, you ask your client to pay for this phase, for this milestone. Let's create a sale order for that. And here I'm selling 3 apps, let's say. And I confirm. Okay, I wanted to show you actually to create a project, but no task. Instead of don't create a task, so I will quickly duplicate it. And confirm the sale. You see here you have this project overview still, but you don't have tasks for now, because on this milestone you don't know what you need to do for each app, for each phase that you want. But you can now, on this last project, manage it exactly the way you want. That means phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. To do 1, and imagine another to do 2. So here what you need to know, basically you can link any task to any sale order line thanks to this field. So you're selecting, you see that I can select directly my last sale order, my last line. I save that and I can directly timesheet to show you. 3 hours for that. And you see it's going also in this fixed type of hours. My cost is computed. I have nothing to invoice because I didn't decide yet that I wanted to invoice. And how you can define that you have to invoice now is going back on your sale order, basically, edit it and say, okay, now I judge that phase 1 is done and I want to get paid for that. So I just change the delivered quantity to 1, and I can then create my invoice for this. Here you see invoiced. I could invoice the first milestone. Okay. So the milestones, as I said, is basically to invoice some phases of a bigger project, and you can really manage your pipeline, your tasks, everything you need to do by creating them afterwards, after having sold this service. Okay. A new feature also, and that's maybe more for the managers, is that you can, here in the timesheet configuration directly, set a reminder for your employees to remind them to do the timesheet. Basically, they will compare the leaves, the working time you did, and with that, it will send or not an email to complete the timesheets. You have also this manager reminder to, for example, if you only invoice on approved timesheets, then you can also make a reminder for the manager. Okay. Let's talk about now the forecasting option in Odoo V11. And let's take back our first example with the junior and the senior consultancy. Okay, it's the next one. Here it is. And on my task, I will be able to create a forecast. Okay, I will forecast, let's say, in November, I will make a complete day. And I will do it on the senior consultancy like this. Let's make quickly 2 other ones. And see what happens if I put it on this month. Okay, I save. I can go on my project, and as usual, you have the possibility, to have the forecast by grid, by user project, and also the Gantt view. That doesn't change. You see, for our which project was it? Sorry. 31, yeah, right. I have my forecasts here, linked to my project. Per month, it will be better. Here, you see. And let's take a look at this new table here on the project overview as well. As you noticed, I timesheeted some things on the junior consultant as well as on the administrator account. Everything that is timesheeted is here on the left in the done column. Then you have everything that is forecasted here. And you can compare what was planned and what is remaining. Basically, planned is what you sold on your sale order. And the remaining column is basically the planned minus the timesheeted. You can here directly compare the remaining with then the forecast that you have to do. The forecast you did already, sorry. and adapt the forecasts with this remaining time. Then we did also some other improvements and added some other features for service companies. For example, the link between the expenses and the sale order is now better because you have a specific field on the expense to link to a sale order. Basically how it works, it will either create a new line if it doesn't exist, but if it already exists, it will compare if the cost is the same. If it's the same, it won't add a new one. For the help desk also, we added a link from the SLA to the working time, basically, just for, imagine you receive a ticket on Friday afternoon, and your SLA, you have an SLA that you have to answer within 2 days. You won't arrive at the office now, and already on Monday, the help desk would say, okay, you're late for this ticket. No, here, it takes really into account that you have 2 days that you don't have to work, and you will be able to answer on Tuesday. And last but not least, we also integrated the leaves with the Timesheet app, and I'm going to show you that directly. On the leaves, you have on the configurations, directly all the leave types, and you can tick the box here, generate a timesheet. Let me create quickly a leave for here. For myself, yeah. I will approve it directly. Okay. And let's see what it does in my timesheets. I have directly, okay, it's not a good week. You see, I have directly a leave encoded in my timesheet of 8 hours because of the working time, basically. And it goes into internal project leaves, but that is also something you can change. You can change that into the debug mode, so you activate it here, as usual. You go back on your leaves application, and on the leave types, you will now see internal project and internal task for timesheet that you can change. So basically what I've told during the whole presentation is that by analyzing your profitability, thanks to this new project overview, by tracking the time based on the timesheet for all employees, measuring the satisfaction, and doing the forecasting, with those options that Odoo V11 allows you to use, you can better adapt your services to the market and address better also your customer needs. So please, if you have questions, now is the time. Yeah, there. Sorry? We can try that out directly in live. Let's see. Okay, he's asking if we support recurring services through subscriptions. Let's quickly create a subscription. Okay. Here, basically, we will be able to invoice it each month, but it won't create a new project, always a new one, because basically the subscription will create a new invoice, but not a new sale order, okay? So you will be able to timesheet everything on the same project, still on the same tasks, but not linked through to a new sale order, okay? Is this how you want to work with it, or? Yeah? When you, by confirming the sale order, basically, even if it's a subscription type, you will create this project as I showed you by those two options you have. Sorry? 4. You have 4. You have 4 here. In the service tracking, as you see, okay, you don't have, the first one is don't create tasks. So for example, you won't be able to create a project. But here, you can create a task in an existing one or in a new project, or no task link, but still a project. That will be created by confirming your SO, basically. No, invoiced here, you have to use then the ordered quantities, because you, as it is recurring, you cannot say, okay, you don't know in advance what will be timesheeted. So here, if you want to do that, you just create, you don't need a subscription, actually. The quantities are not linked to the hours, you said. But
the service amount is a monthly amount that you pay, as it's a subscription, so it's a fixed price every month.
Yeah.
And the quantities does not relate to the hours that are going to be booked on that specific project.
No, okay, I agree with that, but here, okay, directly on the order, even if it's something that you invoice each month, if you put one amount, one quantity in ordered, one in ordered, you will be able to follow everything you've done here in the delivered part. Even if you don't have, you have a difference, negative difference between those, both. In the delivered column, you will see all the time that you worked for it. You have other, yeah, please?
Wait, please.
What will happen if we activate, we define difference between timesheet and attendance to be 1 hour, and we activate the options that the leave will generate a timesheet. So I think that the difference, for example, if I define the difference is 1 hour and I make a leave request, so it will generate timesheet with 8 hours. So the user can't submit the timesheet to his manager because the difference, it will be 8 hours. Right? It will make a conflict.
Okay, can you please repeat just
again? We have option to define the difference between timesheet and the attendance to not exceed 1 hour, right? Can we define that?
Yeah.
So the user can't submit his timesheet to his manager if the difference more than 1 hour, right? Okay. So what about if we activate the option that the leave will generate a timesheet? So today I make a leave request, so the system generates automatically 8 hours. There is no attendance in this day, right?
Yeah, okay, I understand the question.
So it will make a conflict, right?
To be honest, that's something that I didn't test.
Okay.
So we can test, we will gladly test that after. You can come to me after the Q&A and we will test it together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How much does the timesheets integrate with the mobile apps and usage with external timesheet or tracking of the time?
So your question is how to use it for mobile?
Yeah, like example, if we could configure something with the mobile devices through the Odoo application, like example, and link it with the timesheets, would that be possible? And if it's also possible to link another external time tracking software?
So you want to link that with an external time tracking service? Yeah, it will be possible in the future with, for example, this in-app purchase that Fabian told about.
What about the Odoo app? Like example, timesheet app from Odoo? Is there anything like this?
Timesheet app for what?
Odoo.
Ah, okay, this. Okay, yeah, yes, we already had that in V10 actually. It's still the case here. You still have this app that you can use to timesheet, and it's called the same. It's awesome timesheet, I guess. Yeah.
What happens if I want to timesheet 10 hours on a project, but I only want to invoice like 5?
And how is your product, your service configured in that case?
It's a project with a task.
Okay.
People are timesheeting on this task, but I don't want to timesheet everything that I've worked.
Okay. Okay. Simply, what you will have to do is not link that timesheet to this specific task. You can, for example, put in another task in the same project. And as I showed you earlier with the 31, with the documentation, for example, you see, you can or you're not obliged to link it to the sale order item. And once it's not linked, then the timesheet will be in the non-billable part. But you cannot say per line here. I mean, you have to be in this configuration then, add a line. What you will do is then add the project, or you don't even add a task, then it won't find the task, and this timesheet won't be invoiced, basically. Either you do that, or the better way would be to create a task that is not linked to the sale order, so it will directly go into this non-billable type of hours. Is it okay?
Yeah, it doesn't help if I want to find out how much time has been spent on a certain task.
Mm-hmm.
But that can't be invoiced because, I don't know, the developer took too much time, but yeah, I see your point.
Okay, well, I will think about that after. If you can come and join me after, we will think about that together. Yeah, here in front.
Just a question about the forecast. If you need to assign 2 resources to a forecasted event because you want to halve the time, there was only a relationship to put 1 task on. And also, if you're trying to plan and you don't know which resource is free, is there a way you can allocate the time for the forecasting and then assign the resource later?
What you can do in that case is using those two, the grid or the Gantt view. You can use the grid or the Gantt view, sorry. By using the grid view, you can here directly, when you created the project, already see, okay, my junior consultant will be busy half the day in October. Let's take the months, it's a better view. On that day, he is only busy 4 hours, so you can allocate it there. By clicking simply here, let's click on a new one. You see, you can create directly a forecast from there, so you have a better overview thanks to this grid. You can also use the Gantt view, of course, by user. Maybe it's more relevant if you want to see if a user is overbooked or not with these percentages that you see. And then you can, of course, play a bit around with it. Okay, I don't have a working time for that, but you see the point. You can manage and allocate your resources accordingly thanks to those two views. Okay. Yeah.
What? Before you showed the expense that you could link with the sales order.
Yeah.
Will that expense also flow into the project that this sales order is linked to, so that we have the total cost of the project?
No, it won't. It won't. Why? Because the cost on the project overview for now only takes everything that is really timesheeted by your employees. So the cost won't be populated by the expense. But it's actually a good feedback. Someone else has a question?
So again, on the cost of the project, is there any link with the accounting module? Meaning that for revenue recognition purposes, if we don't invoice in the month, we should, for example, not accrue, but defer the cost of that we used for that project, in fact.
Okay, no, there is no link with that.
Okay, so in your first use case, you have created a sales order with some junior consultancy 10 hours and then senior consultancy 10 hours. And when you confirm that, it created the project. And it created also 2 tasks, 1 per line item, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So let's suppose that I'm finishing this sale order, I'm finishing these hours, and then the same client for the same project wants to add, let's say, 10 more hours. So if I create a new sale order, then this will create a new project, right? How can I link it with an existing project? Because the work that I do is part of the same project.
Okay. You could use the other product configuration then. Let's go back to my product. And because here the option would be, you see, that you can create a task in, no, not that one, in an existing project, okay?
Yeah, but then you have one selection of the product. So if I understand it correctly, this selection on whether to link sale order line, with a project or not, should be done in the sale order level. Because the sale order I create, the new one, is linked to the same project, not the product itself.
Yeah, basically,
as you do it here.
Basically, what you want would be to link 2 sale orders to the same project. Actually, it's working the opposite way. You can link as many projects as you want to 1 sale order by using the tasks in this sales order item field that you have available.
Okay, but don't you think that this type of connection is a bit reverse? Usually you have one project with many sales orders and many tasks that you do, and not the vice versa, that you have multiple sales orders with multiple projects.
Yeah, okay. We can talk about that just after also. Okay.
Hello. Usually, small companies they use spreadsheets to plan their project, and it's very hard to beat spreadsheet on project management. And possibly you used spreadsheet also in the past at Odoo, I don't know. And previously, a few years before at Odoo, you invested in having a synchronization between Odoo tables and Google spreadsheet, where there's a connector and you can script your spreadsheet. And do you still see a room for that kind of workflow? Could you, what kind of integration do you see for companies that requires more flexibility and would eventually jump to spreadsheet management and maybe import the information again? Do you see a room for this integration still?
Basically, you want to link an integration from Excel to this timesheet.
That would be more with Google Spreadsheet Online API.
Yeah, Google Spreadsheet, sorry.
Yeah, because it's online. You don't need to import, export. You had a connector at Odoo, maybe you're not aware of it, but
I think that they are still working on, and as I said, it's the same topic. This in-app purchase. I mean, the integration, the API between those two. I'm not sure we have that now working, but it's something that could be done with this new feature, the new APIs.
yeah, let's see. Okay, thanks.
What about the task dependencies? Is any feature that work with that? For example, if you set a date for a task and then you have to move forward.
You mean task dependencies by subtasks, or you mean that you want one task done before the other one?
One task done before.
Okay,
the other one.
for now it's not something that is implemented. We don't have that yet. It's already a feedback we had yesterday at a workshop, and we will see. Maybe for next version, but not now. Sorry. Someone else has a question? No? Okay, perfect. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.